Hey, 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 it's AAA Wednesday, which stands for Ask Alyssa Anything. This is my weekly Q&A session where I'm popping into the comments and responding to all your questions, concerns, thoughts about publishing, writing, editing, and everything in between. I really love hearing about what all of you are working on and have been able to do these Q&As for many, many months now, so let's keep it going. Somehow you all always have something new to bring up, which I love so much. Just 2 pieces of housekeeping before we get into the questions. Number 1, if you know you like these sessions, just go ahead and give me a thumbs up. It really helps out my channel and is such a quick thing to do. And number 2, if you haven't yet subscribed, please consider joining our amazing community of authors. Every week, in addition to these Q&As, I also do a deeper dive video into a specific writing technique, or I talk about the publishing industry since that is my professional background. I'd love to have you join us. Okay, let's dive into the first question today. What are your favorite things when reading a novel? Like atmospheric setting, suspenseful hooks, emotional internal narrative, etc. I don't think I phrased this how I wanted, but I don't think I can articulate it. But basically, what elements and stuff makes you lean in, invested, and forget you're reading? I love this question because it forces me to think about what I respond to most powerfully when I'm reading a story. Honestly, it's all of the things that you outlined. For me personally, I really do need a propulsive plot engine as well as characters I feel emotionally invested in. I think those are the 2 key things for me. I want a story that feels compulsively readable, where the urgency is there from the beginning, and I just feel pulled through the pages effortlessly because I can't wait to figure out what is going to happen to the characters. At the same time, I want characters who pull on my heartstrings in some way. That doesn't necessarily mean I need to like them, but they need to illuminate something about the human condition or psyche to me and feel like people that I could meet in the real world. Plot and character really are the foundation of every story, but making them super, super effective and have that emotional effect on the reader is really what sets the best stories apart, I think. Here's the next question. As I go from developmental edit to final revision, several points in the story got flagged, questioning certain plot points that are minor in this story but come to fruition in the next book. How do you recommend handling such plot seeding? I'm interpreting this to mean that you left mentions of or references to certain details that are going to be picked up on in future books in the series, and an editor of some kind or a critique partner or beta reader has flagged those things and questioned why they were included. If someone is flagging these points as part of their review of your manuscript, then that means that they are jarring on the page for some reason. Likely, it's that the reader is wondering why you are calling our attention to that thing when it isn't raised again in some way in the rest of the story. They're going to question why we were focusing on it if it's never going to emerge again. I recommend taking one of 2 approaches here. Either 1, omit it and just allow that plot point to emerge in significance and relevancy at that later point in the series when it actually is pertinent to the story. Or 2, make that thing relevant in some way, even a small way, to the narrative at hand so that its inclusion feels justified, and you will serve the function of also planting the seed for later on in the series when it emerges in significance again. That way it'll be threaded through the stories and actually serve a purpose in each narrative. Here's the next question. I have a critique partner due to writing my first book with a friend. It was my first book, but it wasn't hers. She did share a book that she wrote by herself with me, but I tried to be a beta reader and just gave my reaction to her chapters. But I realized that I want more of that from her and I don't know what I'm allowed to say. Brandon Sanderson emphasized the importance of not making their story what you want it to be or what you would do, but he was talking about being a beta reader. How do I be the best critique partner possible so I can return the favor my friend has given me in guiding me through my first novel? Whether you are acting as a beta reader, as a critique partner, or even as an editor, it is important to detach yourself from the feedback that you are giving as much as possible, because this isn't about making the story what you want it to be, or how you would say something, or how you would have a character act. All of your feedback should ideally be in the interest of serving the author's vision for the story. and honoring that and understanding their intentions for it. That may require having some deeper conversations with that author about their visions and intentions for the story, but those are likely going to result in really productive collaborations and really productive editorial exchanges. As you're putting together your feedback for that person, ask yourself if this is coming from a place of personal preference or if you truly feel that this is going to result in a more effective narrative with their vision in mind. If you come at your feedback from that angle and frame it to the author in that way, they are going to be appreciative of it because they'll understand that you're not trying to make this book into what you want it to be, but that you are trying to help them tell their version of the story in the best way possible. If you've been enjoying my content, I have great news. There is so much more waiting for you to explore on my newsletter website, chapter-break.com. I'm doing exclusive interviews with literary agents and best-selling authors and doing deep dives into my personal experiences as a developmental book editor, and I don't want you to miss out on all of those amazing tips and insights. By giving me your email address, you'll get all of that delivered straight to your inbox, and as a bonus, you'll get my story self-assessment worksheet. This is a resource I designed to help you get unstuck with your current work in progress and figure out what you could improve on the next draft. The links to download the story self-assessment worksheet and check out Chapter Break are in the description. We have time for one more question today. You often caution writers to avoid too many coincidences in a story. I agree with this, but since my story has speculative elements in it, I'm wondering how many incidents of divine intervention are too many. If you have a divine intervention element of your story that results in coincidences or convenient plot moments, the key is to establish the rules of the divine intervention and all of the speculative or fantastical elements of the story so that the reader comes to understand what is the norm in this novel's universe and what is outside the norm. For instance, if it is normal that bolts of lightning come down and strike the neighborhood 12 times a day, in another context, that could seem like a strange coincidence, but because you've established that that is a rule of this world, it won't feel like a coincidence to the reader. Make sure we are oriented to the scope of the divine intervention and speculative elements of the story. How do our characters interact with the divine and those speculative elements? What do those interactions look like? What do they entail? Then, when they emerge in the story, they are going to feel much more organic and natural. If you make us grounded in the character's circumstances in this way, then those coincidental moments will feel earned. That's all we had time for today. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in and everyone who asked a question. And if you have something you'd like to ask me, drop it in the comments here and it will be added to my queue for my next session. Before you head out, don't forget to grab your free story self-assessment worksheet and check out my newsletter website. The links are in the description below. And before you head out, please give me a thumbs up if you liked this video and consider subscribing so you don't miss out on my next video. Thanks so much for watching and happy writing.